Hello, friends, and welcome to Attract Mode, presented by Lady Arcaders. I'm chibicarrera, and I'll be your host for this upcoming showcase. This is going to be a fun one because Astrid the Horror Girl will be presenting the lore behind Vampire the Masquerade. Hey, do you have lore that you would love to tell people about? You should submit your idea to Attract Mode. You're welcome to submit any type of showcase as long as it's game related. Want to go fast? Want to show off your Animal Crossing town? Want to paint a mural? Want to compose some music? Want to bake a video game related pie? You want to show off your game dev skills? You should visit ladyarcaders.com for more details. Okay, chat, I hope you have your notebooks ready because Professor Astrid is ready to teach us all about Vampire the Masquerade. We're ready for the lecture, Astrid.
Good. My lecture. Yes. Hello. Hello, everyone. It is good to see you. I am AstridTheHorrorGirl, and I am incredibly normal about Vampire the Masquerade. This is basically a showcase discussing, the lore of what Vampire the Masquerade is, because there is a lot. And with me, of course, besides our lovely and wonderful host, I have a lovely and wonderful commentator. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm enbyzee, and I know a little bit about Vampire the Masquerade, but not a whole lot, so I'm excited to learn more.
I am excited to show everyone. So basically, I wanted to make this because there were some friends who were interested in doing a game, getting into vampire and stuff like that, and I said, well, what do you know about it? Do you know anything about it? Do you want me to send you some resources? And, it kind of became like this overwhelming sort of, oh, what? I have to like know the lore. And that is one of like the expectations for getting into really almost any part of Vampire the Masquerade, whether you're going in with the tabletop RPG or whether you're going in with the video games, the visual novels, the interactive fiction. The series makes an assumption that you know at least a little bit about what's going on there. And even the games that are kind of intended to be like, this is a good starting place, can feel like a lot, or that there's a lot of things that are left unsaid that they kind of don't talk about. So one of the reasons I made this presentation was just to kind of be like, just look at this presentation. It'll give you everything that you need to know to go into it without also overwhelming you with all of the lore that's there, because there is a lot. This is kind of like a crash course, if you will. Be sure to look at the content warning stuff down there, because Vampire the Masquerade is a horror franchise first and foremost. So there's some of the stuff that it deals with, and if that seems like it might be a little bit too much, I understand. If not, then I'm glad that you're here, and we can go and take it from here. So I'm gonna go and get started with this presentation right now. The first slide has lesbians on it, so
Let's go, lesbians!
let's
Let's go, lesbians!
Vampire the Masquerade is a setting in White Wolf's world of darkness. It details an alternate history of the world, one where vampires have lived amongst humans since the dawn of civilization, and they continue to live among humans now, hiding secretly, using their power to influence mortal society, while being trapped inside their own brutal and uncaring vampire society. They are monsters who hunt humans for food, but they are also tragic creatures who have lost themselves to the misery of their unlives, damned to be forever hungry, obeying a will that is not theirs. If you're playing the game, this is your world now. So let's start with the basics, because while it may seem obvious to say, like, oh yeah, I know what a vampire is, there's no one in Vampire the Masquerade just calls himself a vampire. As they say, that is the human word. Vampire is the human term for undead, blood-sucking, once-human creature that preys on humans. But the names they call themselves are kindred, or licks, or canites, depending on who's saying it. So kindred, everyone uses kindred. Licks are like, that's kind of like slang. Canites is used by just basically one part of vampire society. The masquerade is the illusion that kindred do not exist, and that they are merely the things of legend, fairy tales, and hit movies. It is the most sacred rule to obey in kindred society, and it is punished severely if violated. As kindred masquerade around mortals, that is also where they hunt for blood. So there you go. And yeah, what does kindred society look like? The short answer is kindred trying their best to be as human as they once were, while living their unlives to the best of their ability. But like any society, there are ruling classes, working classes, and the undesirables. The long answer is, it depends which society you mean, which we are going to go into the long answer. There are three main kindred societies: the Camarilla, the Anarchs, and the Sabbat. And depending on which one a kindred lives in determines a lot about who they are. But we'll get to that. So, what does it mean to be kindred? I put up a few adjectives here: powerful, influential, oppressed, cursed, trapped, hungry, insatiable, monstrous, immortal, magical, deceitful, and dead. Yeah, all of them. All of those are true. Those are all accurate things. Those are all correct things you can say about kindred, all at the same time. It's a wild time being kindred. But first, let's start talking about what it's like when you first become kindred, when you first are transformed. That is called the embrace. One is not simply bitten and then turned into a vampire. There is a ritual to turn one who was mortal into kindred, and that ritual is known as the embrace. Typically, a kindred chooses a mortal important to them and asks the ruler of their region, be that a prince or a baron, for permission to turn someone. When permission is granted, that mortal is murdered by that kindred, and as their heart stops beating, they are given the blood of kindred to drink. The mortal dies, and then they awaken again, but now into their unlife and into this new world. To be kindred is to be powerful. You are stronger than any mortal, faster than any mortal, and in general, any mortal will be forced to succumb to your will through sheer force of suggestion. A heavily armed, trained master assassin is helpless once they look into the eyes of kindred just once. Kindred can throw cars down a street, jump to the top of a 3-story building from the ground, hypnotize mortals to commit the most unthinkable things that would betray their own conscience normally, and they move so fast they can almost dodge bullets. But that really wouldn't matter anyways, because a bullet is just a bug bite to them. It's basically on the comparative scale of like mortal versus kindred. It's not even a close competition. It's a whole other thing. But as powerful as kindred are, they have their weaknesses. Sunlight ignites the flesh of kindred, reducing them to ashes if they are left exposed to long enough. For this same reason, kindred develop a natural fear of fire, as they are now more vulnerable to it than they have ever been before. And while a stake through the heart won't kill them, it will paralyze them as long as they are impaled. Kindred are also vulnerable to other kindred. From teeth or claws or their sheer power, the older a kindred is, the more powerful it is. And the young know to stay in line or be destroyed by one greater than themselves. So, kindred may be monsters who hunt their human prey for sustenance, but they rarely kill, lest they lose their humanity. Kindred miss seeing the sunrise, or seeing the sun at all. Kindred miss the taste of food and drink. Kindred wish that they could feel their hearts beat inside their chest, and they miss a time where they could feel the warmth of human touch. Many older kindred have forgotten what it is like to see mortals as people with lives and feelings and ambitions and desires, and not just cattle to feed on. And the younger kindred are horrified that one day they might feel the same way too. And because of this, they are desperate to maintain their humanity and resist as much as possible, giving in to the beast. The beast, you say? What is the beast, Astrid? I'll tell you what the beast is. Inside of every kindred is a haunting and horrifying voice that demands the blood of living mortals. It is powerful, controlling, dominating, and persuasive, and all it wants is more blood. Kindred have named this voice the Beast, as it represents the worst part of all of them. The more hungry kindred go, the more powerful the beast becomes. And if kindred become too hungry, the beast takes over and finds sustenance without a petty conscience being in its way. That is called a frenzy, by the way, when the beast takes over. That's a fun time.
Do you transform at all when the beast takes over, or are you just yourself but out of control?
So, when the beast takes over different kindred, one of the things that kindred can do is, some of them, not all of them, depends on what clan they're in. We'll get to clans later. But some of them find that it is best that they do not hide their nature. Their fingernails elongate, their fangs, which are retractable in Vampire the Masquerade. They just come out. They, like, one of the clans can transform into something like a wolf. Others can change the form of, like, their flesh and become more monstrous. But kindred in general, they have to put up effort to blend in with mortals. That effort is just gone when the beast takes over. And they're just seen as a beastly thing. So, like, in the one picture, we have, like, that would be one who can transform turned into the beast in a frenzy. And on the left side, that is also a beast in frenzy. Just, probably was a very beautiful woman out on a nice little walk in the park, and then got too hungry. But good question.
Right.
Thank you for the question.
Mm-hmm.
A sire's childer will awaken after the embrace into their new clan. A bloodline passed down from thousands of years, granting them special powers known as disciplines, to make them uniquely formidable as enemies, or enticing as allies. In total, there were 13 clans. I really liked this image here. These are 3 different kindred, and behind them are their clan symbols. So it shows that 3 kindred, all still vampires, but they all represent these different clans of theirs. So you can kind of see how they're similar and yet different just by appearance.
We have a quick question from the chat
Sure.
if you're available for that. Can a kindred ever return to their normal self after becoming a beast?
They do once the beast has had his fill of blood. His or her or their fill of blood. The beast is hungry, and once the beast is no longer hungry, it just fades away. And that sometimes leads to a kindred coming to, just suddenly out of like a blackout, just being like, what happened? Where am I? And why am I covered in blood?
And I assume that could lead to punishment.
Oh,
for
yes.
breaking Masquerade as well.
Oh, yes. Very
Okay,
much.
cool.
If you frenzy in front of people, especially when people have their cell phones out and are recording or something,
Yeah.
you're done in kindred society after that. You're in big trouble.
TikTok will say it's AI.
It's true. And that is what the kindred elders with connections to the journalist places will definitely spread the word of. They'll say, oh yeah, our experts looked at that footage and said that it's AI. And then the kindred just pat the journalist on the head and say, like, good girl, good job. But yeah, a lot of times when the beast takes over, it's just they black out and they wake up and like just dead bodies surround them. And it can be horrifying. Good question, though. Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about kindred society. I found these pictures and they were great. By the way, all these images that I have on this slideshow are either from the TTRPG books, are screenshots from games, or are fan art. So, wanted to just throw that out there in case you're interested in these images and pictures and stuff. All right. So, first, the most widely accepted form of kindred society is the Camarilla, a monarchical society formed in response to the Inquisition that threatened to destroy all kindred. At the top of each Camarilla praxis sits a prince on their throne who governs over all kindred in their domain. Following that, there are primogen, representing each clan, who speak for their clan and are often appointed by the prince. Working closely with the Camarilla, though separately, is the Tremere Chantry, whose regent works directly under the prince. Since kindred do not die naturally, the only way new royalty and a new administration arises is when either the prince abdicates or is defeated in combat by the new prince, though this rarely happens. So obviously, I'm sure that both of you could see there could be nothing wrong with a society that functions like that, right? Probably not.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Also, hold on. The Inquisition?
Yes. So, the kindred version of the Inquisition was a group of vampire hunters that formed in the Dark Ages that were just hunting down kindred and killing them. So, because the kindred were, up until that point, just openly living amongst humans. But then, like, religion got involved, and people were like, hey, I don't like how these super powerful beings are just eating us. That's probably bad. We should do something about that. And this Inquisition formed and threatened to destroy all of kindred. So the Camarilla was formed in response to that. to create a set of rules and codes. Most importantly, the first rule that they decided on was the Masquerade.
Gotcha.
So that is the Inquisition to the Kindred. Most Kindred, when like if they're old enough to remember, if you tell them, what about the Spanish Inquisition? They'll be like, I mean, I'm sure it was happening in Spain too. What do you mean? Like, they're just completely unaware of human history a lot of times. All right, so here's a fun little graph. I won't go too far into this. I know that graph is incredibly intimidating, but it's there. The Camarilla are obedient to their structure, in which they find order and peace. Every Camarilla member obeys the 6 traditions, religiously, and other societies that formed after built onto, or at least borrowed from, the 6 traditions in their constitution. For the Camarilla, the traditions are sacred. For others, they are merely guidelines, and while the Camarilla itself is structured rigorously, those who merely find themselves as a citizen of the prince's domain usually hardly have any understanding of how things work above the prince, which is how the Camarilla prefers it. So, when you look at this chart, starting from Imperator down to the prince, the primogen, what is a seneschal? We won't go into all of that because if you are, if you're just a kindred playing in the game, you're probably just on the very bottom there at you see the thing that says, the whip or the hound? That's around where you rank compared to the others, and are therefore pretty unaware of anything going on above you, and that's about it. But there are the 6 traditions. First one, the Masquerade. The second is the Domain. The third is the Progeny. The fourth is the Accounting. The fifth, the Hospitality. The sixth, the Destruction. Real quick, the Domain is basically this is my hunting ground. No one else should be intruding on my hunting ground. This is where I hunt. Nobody else should hunt here. The Progeny is you have to ask permission to embrace someone. The Accounting is while this new kindred that has been embraced and brought into the world, any problems that they have and any issues are treated with the responsibility of the person that sired them. So there's a lot of responsibility in accounting for one's own embraced childer. And then Hospitality, if you go there, just present yourself to whoever's ruling there and just be like, hey, I'm here in town. Not trying to start anything, not trying to intrude, but I am letting you know that I'm here and for how long. And then Destruction, just don't kill any other kindred. You need permission from the prince to do that. So that is how that societal structure works with the Camarilla. All right, then moving on, we have the Sabbat. The Sabbat are fun. Speaking of closely organized and sacred rules, the society most at odds with the Camarilla is none other than the Sabbat. When the Council of Thorns decided that the only way the kindred were to survive the Inquisition was to form the Camarilla, and instill the Masquerade, several clans did not agree with this and branched off to form their own group. This group was called the Sabbat, and they exist as a large conglomerate of theocrats and authoritarians, as well as anarchistic theists and militias. Every Sabbat presence is different, as the Sabbat has had more civil wars amongst itself than conflicts with their actual enemies. On the far left are the Loyalists, who believe in Nodism fervently. Nodism is a kindred religion. They uphold Sabbat traditions, but believe in absolute freedom for kindred to do as they please. On the far right are the ultra-conservatives, who believe that kindred are naturally superior to humans, and it is their right as superior beings to rule them. They believe that the ultimate goal of the Sabbat should be to topple mortal civilization and make them subservient cattle to be consumed and disposed of economically. So, there's a little bit of conflict of interest there, you know?
I don't know if I like the Sabbat.
The Sabbat are
I don't like the
interesting.
ultra conservative Sabbat.
Yeah.
We'll say that.
Yeah, that is incredibly fair. The loyalists are very, very interesting in that they believe in absolute freedom, but they're also, like, if you're in the Sabbat, you're a Nodist. Like, you believe in Nodism. And that extends so far, you know?
Mhm.
Are you going to touch on Nodism later?
I think it's in here.
Okay.
Pretty sure I did. If I don't, I will definitely talk about it.
The chat says vampire capitalist. You hate to see it.
Oh, we'll get to
Exactly.
vampire
Yes.
capitalists. Don't you worry about it. All right. The next and final kindred society is the youngest one, which is the Anarchs, or the Anarch Free States. Younger kindred from the Camarilla felt that the brutal oppression of the prince and his court never let kindred truly be free to themselves. A movement organized, and in the city of Los Angeles, the Anarch movement successfully toppled the Camarilla government and made the place their home. The Anarch Free States are small, new, and considered by both the Camarilla and Sabbat to be naive. But the Anarchs also continue to gain support across the world, with new factions popping up in North America and Europe. The Anarchs only follow 2 of the 6 Camarilla traditions, the Masquerade and Domain. They also loosely follow the accounting and have a few other unwritten rules that kindred respect out of courtesy. Instead of a prince, the Free States are governed individually by democratically elected barons. An example of this is where one prince would rule over all of Los Angeles. 6 barons govern over the area's different states. The Anarchs are not perfect, but they all agree that it's better than the Camarilla. So, question to the 3 of you: which is your favorite kindred society?
Z, you can go first.
I would lean toward the Anarchs.
Okay.
I do appreciate what the Camarilla are trying to do, but there is something to be said about the Anarchs.
Mm-hmm. All right. As an anarch at heart, I understand. Hell yeah. Let's go. All right. So, broke this down real quick. These are the symbols that represent the different societies here. The Anarch Free States on the top left, the Camarilla in the center, and the Sabbat on the far right. I chose these images because they had the look of like being put onto walls in fabric or something like that, instead of like trying to find like just like the clean symbol, because this is like what would be like graffitied somewhere, where humans would go, don't know what that means. Kindred at night would see it and go, oh, did I wander into the wrong territory? Kind of thing.
So I'm laughing because the Anarch Free States symbol, it looks like it looks like how terrible a job I would do at trying to draw the Camarilla symbol.
Fair.
Like trying to
fair.
draw it from memory.
Yeah.
So down at the bottom are the clans that you are most likely to find in each of these societies, ordered from like the top being the kindred most associated with it, to the bottom, which are kindred that are definitely a part of it, but you it kind of like lessens in numbers as you continue to go down the list. And I want to contrast that. Like you can see how number one with is the Bruja in the Anarch Free States. There's more Bruja in the Anarch Free States than like any other two clans. Like that's what they're about. But there are Bruja that are in the Camarilla and in the Sabbat. They just aren't so much involved there as much as they are in the Anarchs. And the reason the Sabbat list looks shorter is specifically because the Sabbat straight up don't let the other clans in.
Okay.
Yeah, they are just like, nah, these are the good clans.
Oh
So,
my.
yeah, you know. Nothing problematic going on over there with the Sabbat.
Not, yeah. Yep.
All right. So let's get going to talking about clans. According to the ancient vampire religion of Nodism, yeah, here's where I talk about it. A little brief history of Nodism. The original 13 clans were descendants of Cain, the biblical figure who killed his brother out of jealousy. He was the first kindred, cursed by God to wander this world in fear of the sun, unable to eat, and only desiring to drink blood. He sired 3 childer, and they in turn sired 13. These 13 would be the progenitors of the original 13 clans, but that does not mean they are the only clans. So, essentially here, that's Nodism in a nutshell, is sort of like, yeah, we believe that the original 13 clans are descendants of Cain from the Bible, and various other things. And there's more. They have a whole Bible called the Book of Nod that also goes along with it, but that's a lot to get into. Just know that the Sabbat are all about that. But yeah, let's start talking about the clans. First up, we have the Banu Hakim. First clan, and in the center there is the clan symbol, which is a pretty one.
I do like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the Banu Hakim symbol. The Banu Hakim are known for 3 things: justice, assassinations, and their unwavering convictions. The Assamites are mostly located in the Middle East, but no matter where they go, they are feared and respected. Kindred listen to their words carefully and know that anything they say is going to be the truth, because while many look at the Banu Hakim as a mysterious group, they know that they mean what they say. They are reluctant to be leaders, but often find themselves in leadership roles. They are known as assassins, but only because of their efficiency in killing. They are not hired killers, just purveyors of justice, vengeance, and honor. Indeed, honorable, respectable, admired, feared, mysterious, and powerful. Those are the words most associated with the Banu Hakim.
I like the Banu Hakim.
They're pretty fucking cool. I love them. Next we have the Bruja. Bruja are my favorite, just saying.
I saw somebody else in chat say Bruja was their favorite as well.
Heck yeah. The Bruja, also known as the Learned Clan, are known for their tenacity in combat, their brute strength, super speed, and leftist politics that often get them into arguments and confrontations with the other clans. While the Bruja can be found in every kindred society, most recently they have been most active in the Anarch Free States, a society of kindred away from the Camarilla and its hierarchy. They are known to be temperamental, and their desire for freedom above all else makes them natural-born rebels with a heart for misfits and the abandoned.
All right, I like the Bruja.
Yeah.
Chat says clan most likely to own a sick motorcycle.
True. Accurate, though. That is the truth. All right, now we have the Gangrel. Let's go. The Gangrel are a unique bunch for several reasons. The most obvious way is how isolated they often are, preferring the wilderness to spend their time than in the concrete jungle known as the city. Another obvious thing that distinguishes them is their tendency to shift into animals, like wolves, owls, and bats. But perhaps the most unique thing about Clan Gangrel is how in touch they are with their beast. Unlike the other kindred who work hard to suppress that voice that craves blood, they cooperate with it, let it guide them and hear its voice as wisdom, and their will in turn negotiates with the beast. A gangrel oftentimes is their beast. Hardly a distinction to be made between them. Gangrel are wild, suspicious, fierce, and lively. They are outsiders to kindred society, and they like it that way.
Okay. I
And their
don't see
symbol was
myself
like
as
a little
gangrel.
wolf, right?
Yeah, lone wolf is perfect. Z, not a gangrel for you?
I am not personally a gangrel.
Gotcha. All right, let's go to La Sombra.
Oh, this
Looks
is
like a
very cool
magic
art.
user.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. I love La Sombra. They're so good. The La Sombra are the clan of darkness, the clan of the shadow. Where all kindred are vulnerable to sunlight, the La Sombra feel the pain equivalent to a headache or a sunburn under the direct light of a full moon. They can wield the shadows as actual weapons, moving in and out of them like doors. They can use the shadows as their hands, and it makes them formidable fighters in a dark room. They are also the only clan that doesn't appear in mirrors or photographs. Video recordings of them become corrupted or distorted, making them nearly unperceivable to one who isn't looking. There is a melancholy a young La Sombra feels when they realize they will never see their own face again. The La Sombra also have ties to mortals in the form of churches and clergymen who help spread information and misinformation as the clan sees fit. They operate in the shadows, even in the most unlikely spaces.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad now.
Vampire the Masquerade is kind of sad sometimes.
They can't see themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie, I would be totally happy with that.
Oh, no.
All right. Now we have Malkavians. Don't they look fun?
They sure do.
Heck yeah. For most kindred, the description of Malkavians simply stops at madness. But in reality, Malkavians are far more than just deranged, socially awkward kindred. They are prophets who confuse the future they see for the present we are in now. Or they hear voices that tell them exactly what the person they're talking to has in their pockets, or what they did last night. Malkavian rituals often take a toll on their minds, and to hold on, they often employ techniques to maintain their composure, like fidgets and saying words more times than they need to. Kindred on the outside looking in cannot understand how the powers of a Malkavian work, but Malkavians are the ones who have to experience it. While other clans may think on this and consider it a curse, most Malks believe it is a blessing. No one else is like them. No one else could be like them. They are powerful, unique, and unpredictable. Exactly what they like. They are also more intelligent than they often get credit for.
I have to read a comment for you from chat.
Yes.
Malkavians can have a little plural and autism as a treat.
Yes, accurate.
So true.
Yes, that is the truth. All right. Now we have the Ministry. The Ministry, or the Setites, or the followers of Set, are just as much a clan as they are a cult. While many kindred are either Cainites, a-religious, or agnostic, the Setites believe that their progenitor was not from Cain at all, but from the Egyptian god Set. They are endearing, sweet, kind, and have a reputation for being seductive. And with that seduction, they recruit more members. They are deceptive and not against going with a long con that lasts for decades to get what they want. Their title, the Ministry, was part of a rebrand that they went through when they mass immigrated to North America after the Camarilla and the Sabbat warred around them. They are as playful as they are ruthless. They are caring as they are spiteful. The Ministry, regarded as heretics by the Sabbat, find themselves seeking shelter with the Camarilla or enjoying the perks of freedom with the Anarchs. They are powerful allies, and that sometimes allows them to bend the rules.
I'm a fan of this one.
Okay.
I don't think I could be this one. I don't. I'm autistic and I have to tell the truth. I can't.
I
I
see.
can't deceive people.
I see.
I really like the idea that there's possibly like a documented history of like the origins of the kindred, and then these people just went, nah.
Yeah.
No, this is what actually happened.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Now we have the Nosferatu. They're cute and I like them. Clan Nosferatu are known as the Clan of the Hidden because their very appearance is a masquerade violation, and that causes them to hide from the mortal world in a large part, living in sewers and abandoned building basements. They are also called this because they have the unique ability to completely vanish from sight, be invisible, and wear the faces of others temporarily. This makes Nosferatu the perfect spies, the perfect infiltrators, and naturally facilitates their role as information brokers, a role that they happily fit into. Nosferatu appear the way they do from how the Embrace violently contorts their clan into inhuman shapes. Some do not even survive this process, but when they do, they enter into unlife permanently disfigured. The Nosferatu often choose the vain and proud mortals to become embraced. If they can live for eternity in repugnance and find peace in that, then they deserve their life. If they cannot, then they got what was coming to them. Clan Nosferatu sees their own appearance as an absurdist joke and lean into it whenever possible. There is a pride in their looks that they often flaunt. They even named their clan after a movie because a notable elder said, "Hey, that guy looks like us."
Oh my gosh.
That's okay. That's incredible. That's really interesting because when I first learned about the Nosferatu, I did not realize that they like embraced their appearance.
Oh yeah, they're big fans of how they look, and
That's awesome.
they like to they love to make other kindred uncomfortable with how they look too. They get pride out of it. Also,
I believe chat was making a SpongeBob reference with turning lights on and off.
Nosferatu. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that one of their discipline powers is called Thief with 1,000 Faces. Like,
Oh.
it's really cool. They can basically look like other people, just like normal people if they want. And I love that name. It's so cool.
That's neat. I like that.
Here we have the Ravnos. I really love fan art of Ravnos because they're like, look at how cute they are.
Ravnos just looks like a bunch of queers.
Right? Right?
I was trying to put my finger on what it was and you nailed it.
All right. The Ravnos are known for many things in the world of kindred. The first is that they are known master manipulators. They excel at looking innocent and unassuming before convincing everyone in the room that they are completely innocent while holding the smoking gun in their hands. The second is that they are always calculating, scheming, planning, scrutinizing. The first thing they notice about every room are the escape routes. But the third thing they are known for is being the cursed clan. Their blood boils under stagnation, which makes them natural nomads. Stay too long in one place, and their beast is itching to leave. Being trapped in one place is enough to drive a Ravnos crazy with the pain their blood inflicts upon them. Therefore, they have no permanent home and are damned to wander, never sleeping in the same bed more than a week at a time.
See, I was super interested in this until the whole they have no home thing.
Yep. Yeah. Could not. I don't think I could be a Ravnos.
I feel that the cursed clan do be cursed. All right, and on to the Salubri. Look at that third eye being wide open like that.
Oh.
Ooh.
The Salubri are the rarest kindred that can be found in the modern nights. With corrupt kindred societies hunting them down and devouring them, combined with the Salubri's reluctance to embrace anyone in the first place, there are many kindred today who claim they have never met one after living for a century. Salubri keep their numbers low because they feel strongly that their unlives are, in fact, curses. The only time they embrace anyone is if they feel they are kind, gentle, incorruptible, and empathetic. Salubri are the only kindred who have the unique ability to heal other kindred. They are adept at protecting others as well. All Salubri that choose the path of the Valeran, the healer, are blessed with this mark on their forehead. But through propaganda in kindred society, it became a target, as it was accused of them being able to suck the soul out of kindred's bodies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I see myself as a Salubri, honestly.
Ooh, okay. Z, a Salubri, let's go.
I mean, we'll see if that changes.
Indeed.
But so far, Salubri is, yeah, I think that's me.
Let's go. All right, let's go to Toreadors. Aren't they beautiful?
I would say this looks like a cover of like a romance novel.
Right?
Like the one in the bottom left.
Uh-huh. That is a character that I love too, by the way.
Super rich executive that also happens to be a vampire.
Mm-hmm. The Toreador, the Clan of the Rose, rule the nightlife of whatever city they are in. Artistic appreciators, lovers of the beautiful, and creators of aesthetic and atmosphere, the Toreador are known for their elegance, beauty, and grace. They are also known for their power of influence over others. Any mortal who looks into the eyes of a Toreador may likely find that they have no will to resist them the rest of the night, or indeed the rest of the year. Alluring, seductive, and powerful, the Toreador all but say the word, and their wish is the command of any mortal who hear it. They are known to be the clan most in touch with their humanity, and yet their beasts' demand for the finer things in life is extreme. They are often found in high society, which ironically makes them feel both closer and more distant to mortal kind.
So, would a Toreador drive a Cybertruck?
Yes.
I don't think so. I actually don't think so. Because Toreadors would look at Cybertrucks and be like, that's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Toreadors would pay for the nicest looking car ever.
Okay.
Just because it's a nice looking car.
So, like, but the beast is, like, demanding the third yacht.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we have the Tremere.
Okay.
Of all the untrusted clans out there, the Tremere are the most despised, least liked, and considered the least trustworthy. Whether or not they earn this bias, the reason is because they are not true kindred, according to many. Instead of having a progenitor who was kindred, Tremere were mages in search of immortality. But the only immortality to be found is that of the kindred curse, to have a beast within and to hunger for blood forever. They are also not trusted because of their thaumaturgy, a magic that they discovered which uses their blood to do great and powerful things. Most Tremere spend many hours studying, researching, and experimenting to find greater powers still, mostly under the tight regiment of the Tremere Chantry.
Interesting.
Yeah, very cool.
Now we have the Tzimisce.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, yep, I see a tail.
Uh-huh. The Tzimisce are known as the Old Clan because while they may have been around for about as long as any of the other clans, they are the ones that never seem to change, and they still have living members who were alive when the greatest empires of this world fell in the Bronze Age. Besides that, however, the Tzimisce are known mostly for two things. The first, their alignment with the Sabbat that has been unwavering since the movement formed, and the second, their ability to shapeshift. It is not uncommon for Tzimisce to change their features to be utterly alien, inhuman, and bizarre to flex their complete power over the flesh. The Tzimisce are covetous hoarders who want to rule. At least, that is the stereotype that often seems to be true. But Tzimisce are not greedy without their ideals. Far from it. For they are ambitious, brave, bold, and determined to get exactly what they want.
I've always loved the idea of shapeshifting.
Chibicarrera, Tzimisce confirmed? Okay.
It's possible.
Let's go. You might be thinking better on the Sabbat after everything is done then. All right. And the Ventru. By the way, these are the those vampire capitalists we were talking about earlier.
Oh, no.
Oh, here we go.
The conspiracy theory that there is a secret cabal of individuals that rule the world behind the scenes isn't a new one. The Kindred know that it's Clan Ventru that are the culprits, and it was probably the Ventru that made the conspiracy theory to begin with. Behind the most mysterious corporations, influential brands, and powerful marketing, somewhere is a Ventru who found a way to profit off of it. The Ventru want power, to be in charge, to rule, and to be highly regarded. It's more than their ambition. It is what their beast demands of them. Nothing but the excellence of what they demand will do for them, including in the blood that they drink. While they are natural leaders, ambitious governors, and terrific supervisors, they also often make horrific tyrants and brutal oppressors. Listen, as a Bruja, I may have feelings about the Ventru, but technically I have to go, listen, they're really good at being leaders, okay? So there's my good thing about the Ventru that I said.
But they only drink the finest O negative.
To be fair,
Oh, God.
it's not their choice. They basically their beast decided for them at some point what is the only blood that works best for them, and their beast just refuses to have any other blood than that.
Oh, wow.
All right, so those are the main clans, but there's a few other ones. Whether they are just in disorder, disarray, or displaced elsewhere, there are a couple others. The Cappadocians, for instance, one of the original 13 clans, but they were driven to extinction after a culling at the Feast of Folly. That is a whole thing, and I can go into it if people want, but it is very extreme, and the Cappadocians aren't really around too much anymore after that happened. Then there is Giovanni, the usurpers of the Cappadocian bloodline, who started as a family in Rome in the Dark Ages, but through a rise in power came to create their own clan by aiding in the destruction of the Cappadocians. And then there's the Hecata, a clan from Cappadocian and Giovanni bloodline that are little more than a gang of powerful necromancers. There are the Thin Bloods, also called the Duskborn. They are 15th generation kindred whose bloodline to their progenitor is too weak to receive the gift of their clan, or the strength of being kindred, only the weaknesses. They are outcasts and misfits, and sometimes seen as abominations. The caitiff, kindred whose embrace left them without their specific clan gifts, but they're still just as strong as any kindred. They're like the albino of the kindred. So those are a few other ones that are out there.
Okay, so I'm going to stick with the one I chose. I don't remember what it's called, so it's Subaru from now on.
Subaru.
The Salubri, yes.
The lesbian clan.
All right. The clans sometimes stick with their own kind, but others are more accepting of spending time with others. While Ventru and Bruja usually do not get along at all and find themselves at odds with each other in every conversation, they still manage to be agreeable so long as they are in the same faction. That is to say nothing of how Nosferatu and Toreadors feel about each other. These different factions of kindred society, the Camarilla, the Anarchs, the Sabbat, it brings out a monstrous prejudice amongst them. The Nodists dislike the Tremere for not being true kindred, and the Sabbat escalate that to violence. Nodists also hate the Thin Bloods because they believe their existence is prophetic to Gehenna, the foretold kindred apocalypse. Where faction borders exist, so do politics, and sometimes diplomacy fails. There have been many wars fought between kindred, and they always have a massive toll on the newer fledglings than on the elders. When you are an immortal, super powerful, blood-sucking creature of the night, you become the thing people fear, hiding in a dark alley. But if you are that thing, what could possibly scare you? Here's a few things. There is Gehenna. According to Nodism, every clan was founded by their respective individual kindred 6,000 years ago. These kindred are known as antediluvians. Where they are is unknown, but they have been in torpor for all that time. When kindred awaken from torpor, even if only for a night, they wake up with extreme hunger that must be quenched. Thousands of years of torpor? The hunger would be unstoppable, and surely the world would end.
So they fear like an apocalypse situation.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Then there is the Second Inquisition. The First Inquisition was a team of devoted mortals who wanted to cleanse the world of kindred forever. And they came very close until kindred came together, formed a society, and most importantly, the Masquerade. Through the Masquerade, mortals do not know kindred exist. If they did, panic would set in. And how long would it be before that panic turned into action? And how long would it take for that action to become a global movement for genocide? With today's world of surveillance and influencers, how long will the Masquerade last? That is the fear of the Second Inquisition.
Seems like
That's
a valid
good fear to have.
Yeah. And then there are blood hunts. While not apocalyptic, kindred fear the elders' power to call for execution with impunity, and just how easily they get away with it. A blood hunt is a call for all kindred to execute one of their own, and more times than not, the moment a blood hunt is called, hunger takes over the sensibilities of friendship and family, and people betray each other for the taste of a fugitive. Those are things that happen sometimes.
Chat says vampires fear Markiplier.
Yes. Most vampires just don't know who that is, but if they found out that IRL streamers exist, they'd be like, oh my god, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. All right, let's go into blood bonds. One of the advantages of having powerful blood is being able to use it to get what you want and ensure someone's trust. Kindred that have drank the blood of another kindred will, in most circumstances, become bonded to that kindred. This creates a power dynamic. The one that drank is very likely to obey the wishes of who they drank from. Mortals that drink the blood from kindred basically have no choice in the matter. They become bonded instantly. For a mortal, it is like becoming addicted, but to a person, and it is a stronger addiction than anything else in the world. Kindred have been known to create their slaves through this process, and even though doing so is considered against the Masquerade. Blood bonds.
I hadn't thought about that being considered against the Masquerade, but I guess, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so...
At the same time... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that when you consider how long kindred live, when they bond someone to them, someone who's addicted to them, a lot of time kindred are just like, okay, I'm tired of you, so I'm leaving, bye, and just abandon them. And then that bonded human that's left behind is doing some very suspicious things to try to be like, hey, does anyone know any vampires? Any vampires I can talk to? Because I need to get a hold of my vampire. So that's why.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was going to say, like, if they could be commanded to, like, not talk about vampires, but yeah, I didn't consider the abandonment issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there are boons. Kindred are not capitalistic creatures by any means, except the Ventru, but that's more just a consequence of what it means to have power in today's society. But they do have a currency. That currency is of favors, also known as boons. When you hear the phrase, I owe you one, Kindred do not mean this figuratively. They mean it with every fiber of their being. Like, oh, you want to know who the Primogen has been visiting lately? You'll owe me a favor for that. Kindred are bound to obey these boons, and they are therefore powerful things to trade. Kindred would sooner sell out their family than disagree to follow through on a boon they promised another kindred. It is part of their nature, after all.
So kind of like Fae rules.
I guess you could say that, yeah. Yeah, if you accidentally say, hey, thanks, I owe you one, Kindred go, oh, really?
Wahaha.
Yep, that is how it works. And then there is diablerie. The ultimate taboo and sin in kindred society is diablerie, the act of devouring another kindred's blood entirely, draining them of their life. When kindred drain a mortal, the mortal simply dies, and the only thing kindred have lost is a bit of their humanity. But when draining another kindred, they not only drain their delicious vitae, but their powers, their abilities, their experience, and their soul. Yes, diablerie is also the devourment of a vampire's soul, and when it is consumed, that personality and will comes to live inside the person who performed diablerie. That soul may come to embody the voice of their beast, or it will be forced into nothingness forever. Fun.
I had not even thought of that as a thing that could happen.
Yep.
But yeah.
So does the person performing the diablerie, do they, like, because they're gaining the powers, do they become, like, more powerful?
Sometimes, yeah. If the kindred they consumed is more powerful than they are, then yeah, they become way more powerful. All right, and then what else is out there? What other creatures of the night roam this world? Kindred are aware that they are not the only mythological creatures out there, but most kindred are unaware of what they are. The Guru, which is the kindred term for werewolf, they're out there, but most kindred have never seen one. Wraiths also exist through their business, though their business rarely concerns kindred, unless one were to come across a curse. Changelings and mummies are hardly ever seen anymore, but there are a few common ones that kindred do deal with from time to time. Mages outside the Tremere exist, and sometimes communicate with kindred if they can be trusted to keep their secret. The Kuei Jin, also known as Eastern vampires, are powerful blood-sucking creatures with similar rules, but also keep what makes them special secret to them. So yeah, oh yes, here is my glossary, which means that I think we're at the end here. So just kind of going over some of the things that might get discussed, or some slang that kindred will say. You've got like lick, a ghoul is immortal in a blood bond. Fledglings, a newly embraced kindred still serving directly under their sire. Neonate is any kindred who is not an elder. Vitae is another word for blood, usually when describing taste, but also more commonly used by older kindred. The sheriff is the main enforcer of a Camarilla prince's law and order. A hound is a loyal kindred sent to do missions on behalf of the prince. The kiss is the act of a kindred sucking blood directly from a mortal. A bagger is a kindred who primarily drinks blood from blood bags or bottles or cans, anything that's not directly from the source. Consensualists are kindred who will only drink blood from a mortal who consents to having their blood drank. And then there is kine, a derogatory term for mortals, implying that their blood is all that matters. Basically like kine or cattle kind of thing.
Okay. So, consensualist, right?
Yep.
That has to go against the Masquerade.
Oh, it does. It does.
Okay.
So do
but
ghouls.
Also, that's what I would be.
Yeah. It is basically, the Masquerade is a hard line for people that the Camarilla doesn't like, and a soft line for people that the Camarilla does like, pretty much.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So does this lore follow a common vampire rule where if you kill the sire, it will kill like vampires that they've created also?
Great
Nope.
question.
But
Okay.
if you if the childer is still blood bonded to their sire, they will know the minute their sire dies.
Gotcha. Okay. So they can then start to seek revenge.
Oh yeah. It's definitely a thing that has happened. It happens to ghouls too. Ghouls can feel when their sire dies, and they just, it's like their whole life purpose just vanished from them.
Oof.
And then this was my, I think my ending slide. The world of Vampire the Masquerade is cruel, dark, brutal, and merciless. It is also beautiful, loving, intimate, and adventurous. Kindred are monsters, and they accept that this is who they are. But it is up to them to determine if that is all that defines them, or if they can be better than what the beast seems determined to make them into. The friendships and relationships made in kindred society can last for eternity, or they can end in tragedy. The only price to be paid, either way, is the price of blood. Yep, that's it. Yay. That was
awesome.
That is it. That is time. However, this is timed. That is the end of the presentation. So I guess just generally, I hope that you enjoyed, but also a few questions if anybody has any.
I will say I very much enjoyed that. Like I am so much more interested in Vampire the Masquerade than I was before.
Yay!
And I was already, kind of interested.
Oh, that is very exciting. I'm very, very happy to hear that. I hope that that's true for anybody in chat too.
Is there a form of media within Vampire the Masquerade that you would recommend starting with? Like a game, a book, the RPG?
Yes. I definitely recommend the TTRPG. We are in 5th edition right now. Not D&D 5th edition, Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. And it is pretty awesome. You'll hear a lot of people also swear by 2nd edition is also really good. Definitely recommend getting into the TTRPG. But also, if that doesn't seem like your speed, if you like visual novels, I highly recommend getting Vampire the Masquerade Coteries in New York, which is the first of a trilogy that goes Coteries in New York, Shadows of New York, and Reckoning of New York. So those are really, really good, but I highly recommend starting with Coteries. And by the way, Shadows of New York has lesbians in it, so just saying.
The lesbians.
Yeah.
Let's go lesbians.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Well, excellent job. Do you have anything that you want to say? And if you want to tell chat like where we can find you, if we want to learn more about this or watch more of your content.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, shout out to, of course, my wonderful partner, Puzzle. She is the one that got me into Vampire the Masquerade in a really, really big way. This presentation would not exist if she didn't get me into this. So, Puzzle, love you, and thank you very much for getting me into this, because it is just absolutely an obsession of mine. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm AstridTheHorrorGirl on twitch.tv/AstridTheHorrorGirl. I have a chronicle of Vampire the Masquerade. A chronicle is the same as a campaign, if that's a more familiar word. And that is called Kindred of the Bay. It takes place in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it has been going on for quite some time, and you can catch me streaming it every once in a while with a couple wonderful players of mine. So yeah, that's about it. That's about all I have to say. I hope that you all feel more informed and enjoyed what you saw and are interested in playing Vampire the Masquerade in whatever way you can get it.
All right, well, amazing job. Thank you so much. Chat, give one more round of applause for AstridTheHorrorGirl and enbyzee for that incredible presentation. We're going to take a short intermission, but please stick around for some announcements. We'll be back soon. Thank you so much, everybody, and welcome back from that intermission. That presentation was just absolutely amazing. I'm definitely going to be looking up some more lore from that game. That was or just the media in general. That was such a good intro to it. In fact, we're taking which Vampire the Masquerade clan are you quizzes right now. So thank you again so much for joining us here tonight. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate your questions in the chat. We appreciate the lurkers and everyone that could just stop by and be here. Make sure that you stick around and check us out next week on Attract Mode. So Bunniest Bunrina will be presenting an unhinged rant on the history of horror RPGs. This is going to be Thursday, October 17th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Submissions for Attract Mode showcases are always open, and we would love to have you showing any games that you love. So send us your showcase ideas at https://ladyarcaders.com/start/!! While you're there, make sure that you check out our first game development jam, Lag Jam, which is running from Thursday, November 14th to Sunday the 17th. If you would like more information, type !Lag Jam in chat. That's LAGJAM. Thank you once again so much for watching. We're going to be rating a friend of ours, so make sure that you stick around for that and go and support them. I hope everyone here has a wonderful night and that you keep the eerie and creepy vibes going.